everyone, I'm Rebecca.
I'm Lelia.
And we are the Boozy Booksellers.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Well, as you may have noticed, we're very far into 2018, so we thought we would do a quick recap of books we've loved so far in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I was taken aback by this theme because I thought, I have read so few books this year. And then I looked at my list and I was like, oh look, I have read some books, and they were excellent. So I will share them with you now. The Hunger by Alma Katsu. I feel like I may have talked about this before, but if I have, just pretend I didn't. But it's amazing, and we have signed copies because Alma is delightful and she lives near us. So this is a novel about the Donner Party. I know, I'm not really that into cannibalism, but I'm into Alma Katsu's writing, so I was like, okay. And then I was like, this is so good. I feel like, oh my god, you guys have to go look on the internet and try and find my Stefan meme where I was like, this book has everything. Cannibalism, historical facts, bromance on the pioneer trails with a Paul Bettany-esque writing letters to his friend. JK, they were just friends. That thing where you're reading a book and you're like, are all these characters going to be dead at the end? And you don't know yet? But seriously, Alma did so much research. Like, it's amazing how much of this is accurate with what we know about the Donner Party. And she did add some paranormal elements to it, but not in a way that's overwhelming where you're like, this is a zombie book or something like that. It just feels like there's a little something extra going on with the danger on the trail, in addition to, you know, the elements, starvation, cold, snow, etc.
Cannibalism.
Yeah. Anyway, The Hunger by Alma Katsu. Read it now.
A little something extra from Alma Katsu. I'm so sorry, Alma. So my first book that I'm going to talk about today is actually something that's very different for me, and that is Tin Man by Sarah Winman. And Tin Man is not normally a book that I would gravitate towards. It's about a guy named Ellis, who I think he's like in his 40s. So he's a middle-aged guy. He's working the night shift at this car factory. He bikes to work, he bikes home, he goes to sleep, and then he does the same thing all over again. And we sort of piece out very quickly that his wife and his best friend have both suddenly died. And so he's sort of stuck in this routine. And finally, he gets injured on the job, and so he sort of finds himself with a ton of free time because he's on, you know, medical leave. And so he starts remembering all of these moments that he shared with the important people in his life. So his mother, his wife, his best friend, and how all of those moments intertwine, and begins to sort of come out of his shell and heal. I devoured it in an afternoon, and I definitely cried at least twice because it's so beautifully written. Sarah Winman's words are just... I wrote it down as like maximum feels with minimum words. Like, she uses such spare sentences, but it's like the sentence equivalent of just like a sucker punch to your feelings. And that is Tin Man by Sarah Winman.
I'm going to talk about An Anatomy of a Miracle by Jonathan Miles. Ooh. And I think the subtitle really tells you a lot about this book. I'm going to read you the subtitle: The True Story of a Paralyzed Veteran, a Mississippi Convenience Store, a Vatican Investigation, and the Spectacular Perils of Grace. Which really sums it all up, I feel like. I mean, what more do you need to know? So it's about a veteran who is paralyzed, and at the very beginning of the book, he just like gets up out of his chair and starts walking outside of this convenience store. And
in Mississippi.
There it is. And so it's sort of a few different threads. It's his life and how it's changing and what happened. And the Vatican comes to investigate because if it's going to be deemed a certified miracle, they have to send someone out there to be like, so was it raining when this happened? Tell me everything about your childhood. What was your relationship with your mother? They do get into that. And so the convenience store people are like, okay, we don't care what's going on here, but everybody's coming to our convenience store because they think it's like, you know, this beautiful holy place. So, hey, would you guys like some keychains? You're welcome.
Oh my god,
it's great.
That's amazing.
And then there's the doctor who's like, what happened? What did I miss? I regret everything in my life. I don't understand. And so it's one of those. At first I was kind of like, I don't know about this whimsy. And then I was like, JK, I'm here for this whimsy. And I really feel like this book, like the last 150 pages or whatever, really like gets you. It makes the book such a winner. The other pages are amazing too, but you're like, what? And then it like, and you're like, oh.
I see.
What? Way to go, Jonathan Miles.
Oh my god, I'm so into it.
It's real good. Anatomy of a Miracle by Jonathan Miles, everybody.
I need to read that. I also feel like that's the most American way to react to a miracle is to sell keychains.
Yes, 100%.
The second book that I want to talk to you guys about today is Valley Girls by Sarah Nicole Lemon. And this book, first of all, another beautiful, amazing cover. And let me just... Ooh, look at this beauty. So, Valley Girls is about a girl named Rilla who she sort of gets in trouble in her hometown in West Virginia. And so her mother sort of ships her out to stay with her half-sister, who is a park ranger in Yosemite National Park in California? Yes? I always forget where Yosemite is. Yellowstone is in Wyoming. Yosemite, I believe, is in California. Because I always thought it was not in California, and then every time I see it,
because all the Apple update things or OSs are named after a place in California, and Yosemite is one of them. Look at us using our knowledge tools. Anyway,
she gets sent to Yosemite over the summer to sort of get her life in order, and she falls in with this group of young rock climbers, and she doesn't know anything about climbing, and so she sort of basically grits her teeth and is like, no, I'm gonna do this because I want to, and I want to prove to people back home, I want to prove to my sister, I want to prove to myself that I can do this, that I can do something that's powerful and, you know, inspiring and badass, and it's just great. It's basically literally and figuratively figuring out how to overcome mountains, but like not in a trite like Oprah kind of way. I love Oprah, but it's not this book. And what I love so much about Sarah Nicole Lemon's writing is that all of her characters are really messy and they're complex and they mess up a lot, but they always learn from their messing up, and like it feels very true in that way. Like so often I think this book could have been like, and then she climbed a mountain and everything was perfect, which doesn't happen because that doesn't happen in real life.
Sometimes it does.
I mean, sometimes it does, but
no, I was kidding.
Has it happened to you lately? And it's wonderful. You should read it. Valley Girls by Sarah Nicole Lemon.
Speaking of badass ladies,
woo!
Let's talk about Circe by Madeline Miller. I had the pleasure of meeting Madeline a few months ago at a dinner, and she was wonderful and awesome and so smart. So she also wrote Achilles.
Song of Achilles.
She also wrote Song of Achilles. And Circe is told from the perspective of Circe, who was a character in the Odyssey, anyone who has read that may remember. And so, yeah, she's a witch, basically, and awesome. And it goes from, like, her childhood, which is basically just, like, the first 100 pages are just gods and goddesses being super catty constantly. Like, you're like,
yes.
Oh my god, you're all powerful. Like, could you, like, get over your social cliques? Like, come on. They're like, Circe, your voice isn't pretty, so you can't sit with us. She's like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to my island.
See ya.
Bye. And blah, blah, blah. Eventually she meets Odysseus. I guess that was fine. A big deal. Fine.
Oh, whatever.
But yeah, so she's a person who turns sailors into pigs, and she turns a lot of people into a lot of things. Yes. Or a lot of gods into stuff. People are getting turned into stuff. So anyway, she is amazing. She's such a, like, modern, like, feminist, amazing role model, even in being not fully human, but that's part of what makes her so outcast from all of her other gods and stuff, is that she really feels for humans, and she herself certainly has all that empathy, I think, for humans that they all are like, oh, silly humans, and she's just like, I mean, but like, they're maybe okay though. And so I just loved it. I thought it was so full of compassion and wonder and a little bit of magic and just her being awesome. I loved it. Thank you, Madeline Miller.
Oh my god.
Circe. Just go read it.
Alrighty. So my third book, I've talked about this author before on this channel, but I don't care. So buckle up, because this is one of my favorite books of the year so far. And that is Wicked and the Wallflower by Sarah McLean. Look at this cover. It's so beautiful. I absolutely loved this book. It is probably my favorite of Sarah McLean's because it is amazing. So with this series, this is the first in a new series, and she has sort of abandoned the sort of upper class sort of drawing room romances a little bit, and gone into the sort of like seedy underbelly of like the criminal world of London. And so the main character is like basically a crime lord, like a kingpin with a heart of gold, and that ish is my kryptonite. And the heroine she like picks locks and is so smart, and she realizes that her family has sort of like pinned all of their hopes on her getting married to this rich dude who she doesn't really know, because like they've messed up the finances, like they sort of made all of these, you know, mistakes and bad decisions and didn't tell her. And so they're like, Felicity, you have to marry this dude. And she's like, I don't want to. And they're like, you have to. And she's like, you know what? No, it's not my responsibility to bail y'all out. See ya. I'm gonna go flirt with this really hot crime pin with kink crime lord with a scar down his face, and like make out on big chunks of ice.
This
Yeah,
is cold, but
also hot. It's feminist. It's angry. It's beautiful. It's sexy, and everyone should read it. It's wonderful. Wicked and the Wallflower by Sarah McLean.
So this is Speak No Evil by Uzodinma Iweala. I am trying to say that name correctly. Who is a fantastic gentleman who I met briefly at a book conference. And the book actually is set partially in D.C. It's set in a elite D.C. prep school. And there's two characters. You get 2 points of view. But the first one you see is Nero, who is, track star, great, gets good grades, everybody's like, what are you going to go to college? And he hasn't told his parents that he's gay, and he's afraid of how they're going to react. So it's sort of about his secret life and the secrets that he's keeping, and his relationship with his parents and their sort of perspective on their immigrants, and, hey, we gave everything up for you to be here. And you also get to see his friend's perspective, and she's one of the only people that knows that he's gay. And the dynamic sort of between them, and how just sort of one night can sort of changes the trajectory for both of them. And it's just, again, this is another short one that's just really like a gut punch. And I listened to the audio, which is just beautifully read, for sure. And the prose is amazing. It's very sparse, but just still enough to really make you feel and get a grasp of these characters. So definitely recommend this. Amazing writing. If you want something that's got just so much meat in a slim trim there, it's very lean, I recommend this highly. Uzodinma Iweala. Speak No Evil.
Is this a debut?
No, he wrote, glad you mentioned that, he wrote Beasts of No Nation.
Oh!
And yeah, so NBD.
Oh, it literally says right
says
here,
it on
author
the
of Beasts
thing.
of No Nation.
It does.
I can't read. So the last book that I have to talk to you about is not written by someone named Sarah.
What?
I should have found another
Summer of
one.
Sarah's.
Summer of
Hashtag
Sarah's.
Summer of Sarah's. Okay,
Ooh! Sarah and Naomi Novik, who wrote Spinning Silver, which is the last book that I want to talk to you about. Naomi Novik is the author of His Majesty's Dragon series, the Temeraire series, and also Uprooted, which came out a few years ago, and it was a huge hit. I loved Uprooted, but I think I might love Spinning Silver more. Whereas Uprooted was based on like Polish fairy tales, Spinning Silver is very sort of specifically draws its inspiration from the fairy tale of Rumpelstiltskin, and is informed by Naomi's family, who were Lithuanian Jews. So it's very much steeped in Jewish culture, the Jewish religion, plus all of these elements of magic and fairy tales, and it's just gorgeous. But it follows a bunch of different characters. But the first one we meet is Miriam, whose father is the moneylender, and he sort of has too soft of a heart, really, to be a moneylender. He's like, oh, you owe me, X amount of money. And they're just like, oh, no, we can't do that this month. Sorry. And he's like, okay, when you can, that's, And then, of course, they never pay him back because people are terrible. And so Miriam is just like, nuh-uh, I'm tired of being hungry. A, I'm tired of being cold. B, C, gimme your money. Like, Siri, play Rihanna's Bitch Better Have My Money. Basically, you know, she gets all of the money that their family is owed, and she sort of starts boasting that she can turn silver into gold. But unfortunately, she says this within the hearing of a fairy king. And basically, it all goes from there, and it is so good. We did an event with Naomi a couple weeks ago now, and it was just wonderful to hear her read. She's such a nice person, and she was fabulous, and, you know, she talked about the process of writing this book, and it's just so well done. It's so fabulous, and it's full of badass women, and mysterious fairy kings, and, you know, evil demons, and it's just so good. It's so good. Read it! Spitting Silver by Naomi Novik. All I can do is shake.
So,
Woo!
basically, we have fairy tales, mountain climbing, metaphorically and literally, emotional baggage,
Sex on giant hunks of ice,
cannibalism, turning sailors into pigs, catty gods and goddesses. Did I say cannibalism? I did.
You did say cannibalism.
But, like, just want to hit that point home.
And, like, a nice, quiet family story of healing.
And a convenience store in Mississippi.
2018! Yeah, so that's our favorite books that we've read so far in 2018. I've read a few that are coming out later this year, but I didn't want to talk about them because they're not out yet.
Same, and a bunch of YA that I couldn't decide between, so let's just assume that you can ask me about all of the YA that I've read this year, which are amazing, and we can talk about it later on the internet.
Yeah. So all of our information and all of the books that we mentioned will be down in the description box below. As well as, you know, links to find us at the store. And also, I'm going to link Lilia's interview with Kojo Namdi.
She was on the radio.
She was on the radio with a bunch of other really cool people talking about summer reads. So
I didn't make a fool of myself completely.
Yeah!
Crushed it.
Crushed
That's why
it.
I'm doing it now.
Boom! Bye!
Good, because my drink's broken.